everybody. Welcome back to Opria's Open Mic. We are on episode 5 of season 2.
With your favorite hosts, Sean and Erin.
And we have a very special guest, Sean.
Bo's with us today. Erin, tell us what we're talking about.
Okay, today we're talking about money. And this is the coolest thing. So
we brought on somebody with more money than us. And basically, and he's just going to talk about how we can have as much money as he does. And then we're going to surpass you one day. That's the whole plan.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're going to talk about today.
No, we are going to talk about how do the rich get richer. But this is something that everyday people can do that we didn't know about. We learned through surround yourself around people that are smarter than you. That's how we learned. And so Bo has taught us this really cool thing that I think can help a lot of people.
You do not have to be rich to do this.
You do not have to be rich.
But you can, and Bo's going to explain a whole lot of it, and we're going to go over it, and we've used it, and we're very happy with it. But at whatever level you may be at, this
financial
might be able to
level.
help you. And it has helped us considerably. And now we are incredibly rich.
You're so dumb. Don't listen to him. It's all because of Bo.
Right. So Bo Segers, welcome. A good friend of mine. I've known him for quite a while now. We've had long talks about money, dogs, family, and wives. We've talked about you a lot.
How perfect I am. That's what he says.
That
says that a lot.
That quite often doesn't come up. I ain't going to lie.
Yeah, I will lie. It's all the time.
All the time.
Tell us some lies, Bo. But I wanted to bring you on. I wanted to talk to everybody here how you talk to me and convince me to do what we're going to talk about today. Is basically increasing the whatever money that we might have to save.
Okay, wait. So the first thing you came home and said, Sean, Erin, we're going to start this life insurance. I was like, that sounds dumb. I'm not doing that.
You don't know my plan.
That was literally.
He told me that. I remember that.
That was literally what I said. I said, I'm out.
Yeah,
and he's like,
you're going to be killed for the life insurance. I got plans, baby.
But no, I was like, Sean, come on. We're not doing that.
How long do you have to wait to kill somebody to get the life insurance? Like a 2-year waiting period?
Just a little while.
All right. Okay. So explain what this. Because a lot of people hear life insurance and they tune out, because I did instantly.
I refuse to get into this quickly. I want to know about Bo's.
Okay, yeah, let's go back.
Here.
We can do both.
Okay.
Because I do think it gets a bad rap. And I think a lot of people think life insurance and they think, oh, I'm just giving money to my kids or my heirs or whatever. And I'm a lawyer. You didn't say that earlier.
Oh, yeah.
So I have been a lawyer for a long time, mostly working with companies. I met a guy, and he started talking to me about my retirement, a financial planner. And I realized I knew nothing about my retirement. I'd been spending money to my financial planner for years, who is a lovely person and a smart person, but never really understanding why I was doing what I was doing. It was all just kind of in the hope that someday I would retire and it would all work out.
That's what I want. Someday I need it to work out.
And you outsource it. And I think, and I do surround myself with people that are smarter than me. But I realize that you got to at least know something. When people work out with y'all are the experts. But if you had me doing stupid stuff, I'd be like, no, wait, because I have, at least I've watched stuff, right?
Right.
And with your money, people are just like, I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about money. But you do. And you can learn stuff really easily. So when I started talking to this guy, I was like, I've got to go learn myself. I've got to go figure out what I'm doing, why I'm doing, and how it all works. And I'd been in companies all my life. I'd been, I was a lawyer for a big company and handled all their legal issues and legal teams in North and South America. And I should have known better. That's what lawyers do. We know the consequences of what we do. That's my old job would be, if I was your lawyer, would be to say, hey, if you do this,
this is
what could happen.
Yeah. But when it came to retirement, I was just like, oh yeah, it'll be
you
good.
You just paid your monthly payments and hopefully everything work out.
And hope.
I feel like that's most of us.
Did you retire from the law firm?
I left them, and then I switched over, right? But I didn't retire. So I'm still building not that old, but I am still building my own retirement, right? But now I have an exit strategy. And I think that's the difference. We need to understand what we're doing and what is the expected result of it. And there are a lot of tools out there that can get you there, not just life insurance. I like life insurance a lot. I think it's an amazing contract.
So the thing that got me, and you mentioned it earlier, which I loved, I think this is the thing that made me interested in talking to you more, is when you said most people think of life insurance as giving money to their kids.
I
am
would have thought
done
of that.
giving money to my kids. Right? You know what I mean? Like, and when you said that, I'm like, okay, well, how can we use it? And we're going to go over it. But like that point in time when it was like, you can use this for your own benefit in your own lifetime.
It's called life insurance, not death insurance.
Life insurance. And, but it's a certain type of life insurance, and we're going to go over it. But the things that we've been doing, I assume that you have been doing. You had a 401k at your business, correct?
Yes.
And you
IRAs, 401ks, investing in the stock market.
Yeah, we have done that too.
Trying to diversify, which is another word for saying I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm going to do as much as I can.
Yeah.
I've never heard it put that way, but that's a good point. That's a good point.
I like diversification. That's a good joke, but I'm still on board.
I don't. I don't.
That's the whole all the eggs in one basket kind of thing.
There is something to be said for that, but you also increase your risk. And I mean, it's kind of like, the difference between buying a stock or buying a mutual fund, right?
All right, what's the difference?
You buy a mutual fund and somebody is investing in a bunch of stocks. So some are going to go up, some are going to go down, and you won't have the great highs, you won't have the great lows. You'll have just a kind of an even keeled. And if you buy a stock, you might have big great highs or great lows. Diversification is kind of the same thing, right? You may not have the great highs.
I like investing boring. We had talked about this in the last episode.
Life insurance is for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, come on. You did the stock market. You've done well.
I will be risky.
You've lost some money, not a ton. You've made a lot more than you've lost.
I love to play.
But that's the thing though. Like, by the time I was talking to you, I had heard every other thing about saving money.
Right.
Like every step along the way is better than nothing. Every step. Like, instead of spending it, just keep it in your checking. Instead of just keeping it in your checking, put it in a savings account. I mean, savings account's not going to get you much as far as interest goes, but instead of putting it in a savings account, put it into a money market. And every step does better. And a mutual fund does a whole lot better than doing nothing. And if that's what you're comfortable with, yeah, go for it. And then basically we get to a point where I've done all these steps. And even one of my steps right now, I think you've forgotten about this, is my checking account I set up where every purchase that I make doing anything, it rounds up the next amount of cents to the next dollar, to the whole dollar. And that cents gets accumulated and sent into another mutual fund of sorts. And so that's just set on auto. I love auto, and I love boring, and I like sitting back and just letting things go. And so when we get to a point where it's like, okay, if I can do one step better, and if I can use somebody else's money to do it,
even better. That's a win.
Better. And is that in essence of what you're kind of doing here?
Well, that's how the rich get richer, right? They don't spend their own money. Their money is growing.
Yeah, see?
Their money is growing.
Stop spending our money.
And they're spending other people's money. I mean, if you've heard how Warren Buffett said, my secretary pays more in taxes than I do.
I've heard that.
Right?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Why do you think that is?
You've heard that from me, by the way,
he doesn't get
when
a
I heard it from
salary.
Bo.
She does. They tax your income. The government taxes your income. Warren Buffett takes all of his stock and he pledges it to somebody and he borrows money.
And you do not
gets
get
a margin
taxed
account and you
on loans.
don't get taxed on loans. Right? So he's
Genius.
living his dream. Did you know that he made 90% of his, or I think it's 98% of his fortune after age 55?
There's hope for all of us then.
Yes. Isn't that amazing? And now of course, he has gobs of money. So he had a ton of money when he was 55.
So does it take gobs of money to make some money?
You've got to have money to make money. You do.
Okay.
Right? You can't, or talent or skill or work ethic. I mean, you have to sacrifice something.
She's talent. She's skill.
Yeah,
she's talent. I have just good looks. I have good looks. I got a sugar mama. Like that. Is that a talent?
Well,
yeah, there you go.
Good looks is a talent.
If you modeled and actually made money with it, but you don't, then maybe
I
you
didn't
don't
need
have
to
the good
model and
looks.
make money. I fooled you into loving me. Take that, bitch.
Does that make you happy?
Yeah, I'm rich.
Yeah, I think when we were talking money, it wasn't that kind of money, but okay, it's all good. But that's why, because those people are using other people's money. The power of using collateral, but to use collateral, you got to have something to
collateralize,
right?
Using collateral.
So what we use is a life insurance policy. and you can build, and it's a very specific kind of life insurance policy. There's several different kinds. We use one that builds an account inside of it that's guaranteed to grow every year. And then once you hit a point, you've got cash in there that you can use. And if you leave it to grow long enough, like by the time you retire, you can pull out more than you could pull out in your 401k and put more of it in your pocket, because a 401k is taxed.
Is 401k taxed when you take the money out?
When you take the money out.
There are Roth IRAs, but
there are Roth 401ks and Roth IRAs, but the standard 401k is a pre-tax donation. They don't tax you when you put it in.
But it reduces your income on taxes for that year.
Correct. So, and the most you can put in is like $18,000 unless you're over 55. If you do that, that's what you're saving the money on, but you're not really saving taxes. You're deferring the tax.
Yeah. You're hoping that you make less money later.
Exactly. And who wants to hope that they make less money?
A good point.
You're about done, right? Like,
boy, who are you talking to?
That's the thing that always made me laugh. Like when I was exploring and learning about my own retirement, people were going, oh, we're going to put you in a lower tax bracket. And I'm like, okay, well, how are you going to do that? And they go, oh, we do it all the time. We're going to put you in a lower tax bracket. Do I want to be in a lower tax bracket? I mean, really? Because I think taxes are going up. The way we're spending.
Yeah. There's been no history of taxes going down in the future.
Well, Ronald Reagan lowered taxes. When he took office, you know what the highest tax rate there's ever been?
What is it?
98% right after World War II. If you made over $200,000, you paid 98%.
What the
If you lived in California and had state income tax, you paid more than 100%. So Ronald Reagan, when he made movies in after World War II, he would make 2 movies and then he would stop, because after that he would end up paying it all to the government. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
So, but when he became into office, he actually lowered taxes. I don't see how anybody can lower taxes. I think even the people who don't want to raise your taxes are going to have to, because we're spending money in ways that we never have before.
Yeah.
True.
So the odds of me being in a lower tax bracket are really slim, because I don't want to have less money.
So by doing, explain how this life insurance and what is it called? How do you
the business of it?
So it is a life insurance policy, right? So
whole life.
It is a whole life. We use especially like quick funded, overfunded whole life policy. So you're building up cash inside the policy. It might have a lower death benefit, because, as you know, a life insurance policy, the primary purpose is that when you die, it pays a cash value to somebody, right?
Yep.
You're building up this account inside your policy that is accessible to you. If you're with the right company and with the right, we are very specific.
Normally your life insurance money that you put into it is not accessible before your death.
It depends on the company. It depends on the type of policy. Yeah. It depends on what it is. Like if you buy a term policy, there are a lot of people that say, oh, life insurance is stupid. You should never use it for anything.
I've heard that a million times.
Right? You should just buy a term policy and put your money in the stock market. Right? A term policy is you're basically gambling with the life insurance company that you're going to die within the term. So if you buy a 10-year term policy from me, the insurance company, you're betting that within 10 years you're going to die, and I'm going to have to pay Sean or your kids or somebody a bunch of money. And I'm betting you're not going to die, and I get to keep all your money because I'm the insurance company.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. I didn't know that's how it worked, but cool.
The amount of payouts on term policies is really low.
Because they aren't going to make stupid bets.
Exactly. And they have all your medical. They have tests. They have everything you've ever done, every doctor you've ever seen.
We went through that testing. They kind of said we were going to live forever. That's why they didn't want to.
Yeah, y'all were very healthy. Shock.
Shocker.
But so there's that kind of policy. That doesn't build up any cash value in it, because I want to keep it all. A whole life policy is one that they say you shouldn't buy, because it doesn't grow as fast. The money you put in it isn't going to grow as fast. But the thing that's amazing is it's in there. You can access it, unlike a 401k, without any penalty, without anything. Your money continues to grow. And then when you retire, you can either pull money out, or if you pretend you have $50,000 in your life insurance policy. And that's a lot of money, but I'm just using that for easy math because, and you think, you know what, we want to redo something or we want to invest in a business. We want to start a business. You can get that cash, use it to invest in your business. And then when your business goes really well. You pay the money back, you retire, you're done. You know, you could say, I'm going to buy a lake house.
I love the option of this too, because when you borrow money from your own self and your own policy, you're right around the retirement or whatever. Your policy has matured enough to have enough cash value in there. And let's say you wanted a new car. Really simple. You're not going to start a business. You're just going to go buy something. You can basically pull 20 grand out of it. Pull $20,000 out of it, be $20,000 richer, and basically a snap of the fingers, pretty liquid, and pay no taxes on it. The funny thing to me that you had mentioned, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you don't have to pay it back.
No.
Like if you decided not to pay it back, you will eventually die with that loan, and your life insurance payout will pay it back for you.
Right. So
I love that.
One thing, just to get, you're not technically borrowing it from yourself. You're using your money as collateral and borrowing it from the insurance company.
Yeah.
So there is interest and stuff like that.
And
your money is
also,
still intact and growing. Right.
So the money that's left in there is growing at a percentage.
Because it's just collateral.
Yeah. Which is really, really neat. I love that. Like if we were in a tough spot, we could get almost all of that money back out without being taxed on it because it's a loan.
Right.
We wouldn't have to pay it back. We would, yeah. And then I could kill my wife and get a big payout and then be debt free.
Well, think about it. If you have money that has one purpose, right? This is my rainy day account. If something goes wrong and I need that money, because everybody believes we should have some fund. A backup, right?
Yeah.
That if something happens and I need cash, I've got that kind of socked away somewhere. Well, imagine if that was doing more than one thing. Imagine if it was doing more than just sitting in a savings account and it was actually in a life insurance policy. So you can still get to it. You can still access it. But if something really bad happens, you've taken care of your family.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand how it works. I know there's different amounts. I know we have 4 plans, but each one of them, or 2 are one amount and 2 are another amount.
And that's something to come back to too.
But I don't.
It's like if you don't believe you can afford the big amount you really want, you can get many small amounts.
Like, what if somebody has $500 a month to put away in something like this?
I have clients that are doing that.
You do?
I do. Obviously, the older you are.
So the goal for this is to start at a younger age.
It's great if you start, but also think about when I was 20 or 24, I started working for a law firm, and I immediately started putting money in my 401k. I was not paying much in taxes at all. Now, when I pull that same, say I was in a 15% tax bracket, 85 cents of that dollar that I put in there was mine. When I pull it out, now 63 cents of that dollar is mine.
Yeah, because you're in a higher tax bracket.
23-year-old,
and that assumes if I do it today. Well, if I did it 5 years ago, I'd also have a 10% penalty, plus my taxes.
Oh, because you pulled it out
because I pulled it out before I was 55.
Yeah. It's also money is
or 59
so
and a half.
interesting.
I can pull it out right now.
Okay, I want to go back to that. So, let's say you have a small amount of money that you want to put away every month or whatever.
Right.
You don't have a lot of money. You have options for that. You have clients that do that.
Sure.
Do you believe that any people that are very wealthy, that don't have small amounts, they have big amounts, that would not do this?
I think that anybody who wants to create tax-exempt cash flow in retirement or have an account that you can pull money in and out of and not pay taxes on, and it's not a loophole, it's the way the law is, right? Yeah. It's not this is something secret or shady or whatever. It's just the rules.
And nobody knows about it. Literally, we've talked to tons and they don't know.
No, they don't.
There's a reason they don't promote it because they want taxes.
Well, and think about this. If I were the government and I said, okay, I've got, someone's got $100,000. Do I want them to put it in a 401k where they're not only not going to be taxed today, they're going to be taxed when the taxes are higher? Or do I want them to put it in a life insurance policy where they pay the tax that they owe right now, and then they never pay taxes on it again?
There's a reason they don't.
There's a reason we don't promote it.
What would be the tough reason of getting a life insurance? Like, these all sound like beautiful, right? What would be their drawbacks?
What are the objections?
So I was looking for when Sean
What are the objections you had?
When Sean came and told me, I said, "There's a catch. There has to be something because this is like everything I looked at. I said, this is too good to be true. Where is the hiccup? Like, there has to be something."
It's a life insurance policy. You can only do it if you are healthy enough that the insurance company is going to go, okay, yeah, we want to insure you.
Right. So you have to be a healthy individual.
So you don't have to be crazy healthy, but yes, you have to be healthy.
So listen to every one of our other podcasts before leading up to this podcast so that you understand how to be incredibly healthy. So now
you can be just as healthy as Sean and Erin.
Yeah. And rich.
So there is that. Other negatives, depending upon how you set it up, you can meet a lot of different needs. But I mean, there are ways that you can say, I'm going to have cash value in my first year. There are ways you can say, I'm going to wait until year 2 or year 3, and it might grow a little faster. So if you're doing it and saying, I really just want to move this amount of money from a savings account into this policy, our policies, the ones we typically do are you pay them out over 10 years.
We have 10 years.
And so you have 10 years. So every
all
year,
4 of ours are on 10-year, right?
Mm-hmm, every year you pay the same amount.
We pay big chunks for each one of the 4 policies. I set up something that doesn't hurt us, but it is something that strains us a little bit to set us up for the future. That is something that I learned with you that I loved. Like I was very much save for later, and you were very much let's save for now
because you might not live later.
Later might not exist. Yeah,
right. I agree.
I think there's a happy balance.
It was a happy balance. So I took the amount of money we could invest, and so I made it a little bit tight for us. But I wanted to do as much as I could, make it tight for us, but do it for 10 years and be done.
How many years in are we?
Like 2?
Like 2,
3?
2 or 3.
3 on 2
That's
of them.
not so
3
bad.
years on 2 of them,
2
years on 1, 2 of them, whatever. But and so this is kind of one of the things I sold you on, I think. And again, please, Bo, tell me if I'm explaining this wrong. The way that it can be set up is that I put in a certain amount of money for 10 years. And then you are fully invested in this life insurance policy.
After 10 years.
And there is a certain amount of money that I can pull out from this and borrow tax-free and not cut into how much money I actually have into it. And I can take it forever, right? Isn't that like I pulled 6%,
mathematically, it's usually right around 6% that you could pull out or you could borrow from the insurance company every year. And because your capital is still growing, it will cover that. And odds are until you die. Now, I bought my house from a guy who was 108. I don't know if it would have made it to the end of his, but I did.
That's kind of crazy.
But the idea to me that if you and these are made up numbers, and they're trying to just be rounded out. So I want to be close. If I put in every year for 10 years, $10,000. After that $10,000, if I so wanted to, I could pull out, say, $7,000 forever.
Roughly, yeah.
Roughly, right?
Doesn't that sound crazy, though? You put in for 10 years, and for the rest of your life, you pull out almost the same amount.
$7,000 tax-free,
like 30% less forever?
Right. Well, it does. But
unless you live to your 108.
It's because your money is still growing, because you're not really pulling it out. When you pull money out of your 401k, you're actually withdrawing cash. That money stops growing for you. With a life insurance policy, you're using it as collateral. So I'm actually using.
You're never really cutting into your own money.
I'm never cutting into.
So basically, it's like the principal's still sitting there. You're borrowing money
the principal
from
and the interest. Yes. It's all still
like
growing.
you said. The reason why you're borrowing money is because you're not taking your own money.
Right, and so it continues to grow, which means you have more to take out.
So literally, I'm doing calculations, right? Like again, fake numbers, easy numbers. All right, $10,000 for 10 years. It's $100,000. How much longer after that 10 years do I have to live to get to really give it to the insurance company? I took $7,000 out for how much does $7,000 go into $100,000?
But it's not, because here's the thing that's really cool. Like you said, you don't pay it back.
Yeah.
They're never going to outspend the cash that they have, right? So that's why you say at some point it's going to run out. But if it continues to grow, when you die, it might be, and this is what I've told my kids for my policies. I've said, you're not going to get a penny, and they will get a little, but they're not going to get the big boondoggle that they think it could be. If I die tomorrow, they will be set up for life. If I die at 90, they're going to get something, and my debt's going to be paid off.
I love that.
And everybody's happy.
I love that. Like you use it for your vacations, for your retirement, to invest in a business. You can pay some back to basically pay your loans back. You cannot pay it back. But when you die, that payout will basically put it all to clear. And that's what sold me, and I think eventually you, on life insurance, is that we're doing what we can to help set our kids up for them to be independent and giving to them while we're living. But our goal has never been to build a giant swath of wealth to just leave when we die. And I want to use it. I want to spend it with you. That's
I like to have fun
you
in
can
life.
do with this, right? Like to make more money using somebody else.
What is it? What do we pay out on our 2 plans that are on us? Do we pay $17,000 a year?
Yes.
That we pay roughly that
Each.
And then our hope.
I wasn't going to talk actual numbers. But you just go, honey.
And then our hope is at 10 years that could be worth. What would that be worth? That's a big number.
Between the two of y'all, it'll be $350,000 roughly.
And then it will just keep building even after we
building, right?
Even after we stop paying, it just keeps growing.
Yeah.
Keeps growing.
If we wait to pull out money, right? Like if we stop at 10 years, we invest all of this money for 10 years, and then we pull that magic number that will never cut in to our money growing. If we pull it right away, we get that one set number every year that we could pull. If we do not start pulling money right away, we let our money build and build. The amount of money we can then pull is just more and more.
Well, and imagine this. So here's the other thing that's really cool. You could also say, I've got this great opportunity to invest in a new clothing line. It's going to cost us this much money to get it started. Okay, well, you can pull that money out, start your line. Once it's going, pay it back. And then when you hit retirement, you're back to where you were.
So you started
all the cash has been there growing the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean,
you start a whole company for nothing.
I feel like it's genius. And literally, most people know nothing about
all of our rich clients already knew about it. I was really excited after talking with you after some sessions we've had and I asked a bunch of people and they're like,
yeah, this is how rich get richer.
He knows what he's talking about.
Hey, wait a minute. No, they were like, yeah, we already do that. Like, come on, man.
So us everyday folks are learning the little tricks of the trade. But literally, if somebody has an extra, and maybe 500 is even too much, can you go lower than that?
Not really. I mean, you could, but it starts getting where it's not really.
A lot of people are putting 500 in their 401k. They could just switch that to this instead.
They could switch it over easily.
And so instead of doing a 401k, would you say this is a better choice of doing it with you?
It was for me. I mean, who knows what people are going through? And that's, you said at the start of this, when you convinced me, I don't think I convinced you. I just said, look, here it all is.
I don't know. It's the same thing as convincing.
Yeah.
Because it sounded really convincing.
And then Sean laid it out for me. I was like, sounds dumb. Wait, that's really smart. Holy cow, that's really smart. At first, I was like, no.
Well, you did your research after that. You asked people you respected, and they came back with basically,
yeah. Why would you not do it?
I mean, I do think that this might be the right thing for somebody, and where they are in their life. They, you don't want to carry credit card debt and then have this and be saving somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Right, but if you're doing a 401k and you're already putting 500, and that's what you're doing already. Would you say that this would be an option to probably switch from, say you're 30 years old? Would you say someone that's 30 years old, putting 500 in their 401k, working a 9-to-5 job, would it be a better option to switch to something like this and no longer do the 401k?
I think that they should at least look at it.
Yeah, because
if you have a company matching, that'd be hard.
That's one thing you have to consider. If your company's giving you money, then that kind of, you might pay the taxes with what they gave you.
True.
So it's possible. For me, it was kind of what I was telling you when I was 20 and I was putting this money in there. If I had paid the 15% and put that money in a life insurance policy and it's growing, and I'm never paying taxes on that money again, I not only would it have changed my retirement, it would have changed my life because I would have had access to it. The money I put in my 401k, I couldn't touch.
Did your company match?
They did.
And you still didn't think it was
I would probably, like, if you're meeting the match for me, I would meet the match. Yeah. And then anything I'm putting over the match, that's what I would move if it were me.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah. What do most companies, what is the normal?
I've
never had a normal job.
Depending.
I've never had a normal job like that. I've always been
there's usually an amount that it'll say will match up to $2,000 a year. And they'll give you a very clear number. And then you divvy it out and you pay it out pretty much automatically to hit that max if you can.
So at that point, you do that and then you don't pay extra into your 401k. At that point, right. you match that. And then the smartest thing is to take advantage of that and go do a whole life insurance plan on top of it.
So when you are 59 and a half, you can start pulling money out of your 401k without a penalty.
Okay.
I have friends and clients who are over 59 and a half that will put in the match and then pull it out at the end of the year, pay the taxes, and then get their match.
Oh, that's kind of
So
smart.
yeah,
That's
so
smart.
they're still
Yeah.
working. They still have a matching 401k, and every year they put it in, get matched, pull it out as soon as they get their money from their company.
Right.
Man, if you started,
money hustling, man, that's fantastic.
I mean, you gotta be smart with your money. I mean, there's so many
Right.
little games out there that I've learned over the years just from being around smart people. But
Well, and everybody's smarter than me in something, right?
Yeah.
right,
I think, imagine like after your 10 years are done, you've gotten used to putting this money into this life insurance policy. What if you were to get another one? Then when you actually retire, you're going to have double what you had. Or what if, you know,
I'm gonna take a year off.
what
Those
if
checks
what
are
if
hurting a little.
something what if your finances really go crazy and your business takes off and you're like, man, all of a sudden I've got extra money. What if you were to buy
absolutely.
another one?
Yeah, and you can.
Because then you're building, the average person has 7 of these.
we have 4, and I thought that was a lot. But
But the other thing you're doing cool, I'm sorry to
No.
interrupt. The other thing you're doing is cool is you bought them for your kids,
yeah,
right?
so I did.
I did that as well.
It's based on their life, but I have control over it.
Right.
So it's basically so you had convinced us to that because these life insurance policies can be based on anybody's life.
Well, anybody that you have an insurable interest in.
Right.
Like I couldn't do Levi.
Levi, you get no insurance policies.
It's
oh
not for
man,
me.
Levi.
Right.
So you have to have some sort of connection.
You've got to have an
that's-
insurable interest.
What does that
Okay,
mean?
so the smartest thing
You got
to
to have a
do,
connection.
if you did one of these when you're, say, just out of college and starting your career at 25, could you imagine
Oh yeah.
how wealthy you could be if you started even with a small amount and then you hit that one, you cap that one at 35, and then you start another one, maybe even bigger because you're making a little more money? You could, I wish I learned about it. We started when I was 43?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we would have started younger?
But that's the thing, though. Like
didn't
everybody
know.
goes through this process. Like the first things you learn is to just put money aside.
right.
Stop spending it all.
But is there an age you would say you probably shouldn't do one of these? You're a little too old.
It depends. It depends on where you are right now, right? So say I'm 65 and I'm retired and I'm living on my 401k and I'm having to pay taxes every year. If there was a way that I could move the money from my 401k into a life insurance policy, that I could keep getting what I'm getting now every year for 10 years, and then it jumped up and I wouldn't be paying taxes anymore,
But
would
wait,
you want to
if
do it?
If you took your 401k and moved into a life insurance, you'd have to pay taxes by the movement, right?
As you move it.
As you move it.
As you move it. But if I say I pulled out enough to get what I was getting, have you ever heard of the safe withdrawal rate? I know you have because we've
No.
talked about it. Basically, they did a whole bunch of studies to say how much can you pull out of an account and have an 85% chance of getting to death with money. So you've got a 401k. How much can you pull out and have an 85% chance of having money when you die? Which I think is kind of funny anyway, because you sit there and go, okay, if I said, hey, Erin, let's fly to Chicago. We've got an 85% of landing at the airport. You wouldn't get on the plane.
No.
But right now we're going, okay, 85%. Wow, that's awesome. Right now they say you can pull out about 3% out of a 401k and have an 85%
You're
chance of getting
stretching your
death with
money.
Right.
Yeah.
Of trying
On a
to stretch
fixed
your money
income,
out.
yeah.
And that's because it goes up, it goes down, it goes, and for the years that you're pulling money out and the stock market's down, you're having to sell more stock. So you're actually removing more of your ability to earn cash in the future.
Gosh, we could talk forever about
But
this.
I wanted to go over this real quick because we opened up a life insurance policy on you, one that's on me. So if you die, it pays out. If I die, it pays out.
Correct.
And then because we have a connection to our kids, we opened it up on them, as in they're the collateral, I guess, right? So they went.
They're not the collateral.
Yeah, they're the collateral. So basically, because we have an insurable interest in them, we can use their youth and health to create basically these.
You're building an account.
You're building an account,
and they're young. So
and
that
it
money
costs us less to make basically the same
to insure them.
to insure them.
Yeah, because we did it when
So
he
two
was
two
like,
of ours cost a little bit more because
19.
we're older, and two of ours cost a
They're
little bit less because they're young.
but it's the same amount.
There's differences. We weren't able to get the full amount of coverage. There was something that we ran into, and we just maxed it out.
I don't remember right now what it was.
But you remember, like
I remember that happened.
We had a
yeah.
wall or something like that. So, yeah.
I feel like it's, I don't know.
The thing that's also cool. So like I bought policies on my kids, right?
Do most people buy policies on their kids?
Often, especially if they're using it like this. If people are thinking, I'm doing it because it's life insurance, then generally it's like a death benefit, or it's like to cover funeral expenses, which is not what we're doing.
No. Yeah.
For me, I'm thinking, if at some point I sign this policy over to my children, so my daughter owns her policy, I'm basically setting her up with an account that she can then start her own.
I mean, you could really set them up to go buy a house.
Exactly.
So we have the option. It was never in my mind to do this.
No, I actually have a good plan with it.
It was that we could hand it over to them and set them up with something very smart when they were very young.
But if you need it today, like if something happens and you're like, man, I got to have my hands on some cash easily.
Yeah.
See, when I started on the kids, my goal was at 30, they would be sitting really well to hopefully at that point they've grown up. They are smart with their money.
So different.
They're married, and it's a good time to buy a house.
I agree.
That was my philosophy. Now, will I give them all of it? Probably not at that point, but
I wanted to use their youth and health for my own benefit.
But here's the thing. It's an option, right? That's really what we're just trying to do. We're trying to create, because basically you're building an account, a dollar that has more than one use. If I put it in my 401k, it's my retirement dollar. If I put it in my rainy day account, it's my emergency dollar. If I put it in my saving for a trip, it's my saving for a trip dollar. I'm using this dollar a bunch of different ways. It's $1.
I think it's genius.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, talking to you, Bo, was great. You talk in a very conversational way. I love our talks. And it was so easy to see the benefit of it, because I do not like getting drowned out by stats and numbers and stuff like that. I hate it. If you tell me that if I invest 10 grand a year for 10 years and I can pull out 7 grand for the rest of my life, I'm in.
Which is a stat and a number, but that's okay.
Way to call them out on it. But basically,
I'm dumb enough. I'm too dumb to know what a stat and a number is. Okay.
But basically, this is how rich get richer. But yet, everyday people can do it. They just don't know about it.
I like how you had mentioned though that like maybe if you have a bunch of credit card debt, you got to do some stuff first.
Yeah. Well, and if you go to your stockbroker today, they're going to go, oh, well, life insurance doesn't grow as fast. I'm not saying it does.
Yeah.
The magic of a life insurance policy is the way you spend it.
Because if you were to buy an investment home, you would need to sell it at some point. And what that would be is kind of up in the air, whether it would gain money, lose money. How fast you could sell it is up in the air. And
what taxes you would pay.
And while you had it, are you
gains.
using that house while you have this investment house, or is it being rented to somebody else?
Right.
This is another option that you can predict pretty good about how much money will be in there. You can use the money very easily. It can be transferable very easily. It can be tax free very easily, and it's an incredible different way to do it.
Powerful tool.
It is powerful.
But that's all it is a tool.
But do you believe in spreading your wings and not having put all your eggs in one basket? Are you a big believer in that?
I think those are mixed metaphors, but that's all right.
I think it depends.
I asked him which one is he. Are you believe in spreading it or putting all your eggs in one basket?
Oh, I got you.
I think it depends on how much risk you can take. Right? How much risk? The older you get, the less risk you want to take on something.
You're really
the younger
old.
you are, the more you can risk stuff. But in my experience, for me, when I turned 54, I'd never really even thought about what my retirement looked like. I was saving for it. I was doing what everybody was telling me to do.
You're doing what you're told. Well, we grew up because we all heard that.
Exactly.
Put in your 401k. Put on your 401k.
So when you're 54 and you're thinking, well, do I want to retire at 65? That's getting close. Risk is less of an option. I think the stock market is great, but I think the stock market is gambling. And I'm not against gambling. I mean, I like to gamble, but I'd never gamble more than I'm willing to lose because I'm not a very good loser.
I'm not a good loser either, but that's always the philosophy I have. If you're willing to put it in, you got to be willing to lose it. And my kids got into stock market too. I said, anything you put in, you got to be willing to lose. And that's the answer to that. But a lot of people get really risky, especially when they get one good one. They're like, oh, I can put a little more in.
Get a little tilt.
That's where you get a little trouble. But it is fun.
It's like loaning money to family. You can never expect it back.
That's true. That's true.
Life insurance is guaranteed to grow. So do I have other holdings? Yeah, I do. Do I have a lot in this? Yeah, but I think it's because I was closer to
You were
kind of that
older when you
retirement
started.
when I started.
How old were you when you started yours?
54, 53.
I would have been, what, 43? I think it's 43, 42. I started mine.
Yeah, well, 3 years ago. 3 years ago.
42.
And
So-
if people are listening to this and really want to do something about it, can they get a hold of you?
Sure.
Do they have to be in the state of Tennessee?
Nope.
All right. Levi, I need phone number.
Wait, he probably don't want his phone number on there.
I was going to
No.
Yeah.
What's
it
the
could be
best
your
way to
business phone number.
what's the
best-
We're
okay,
gonna
there we
go.
Here's his address.
Yeah.
Go knock on
Just
his door.
go to his
Why do you
house.
want people to get a hold of him? What would you do?
Let him say the number or the best way to contact. What is the best way to reach out to you?
Well, you can actually, why don't you email me at info@thebreakawayleague.com.
Levi.
Okay.
Levi.
info@thebreakawayleague.com.
All right. And literally, they can, because a lot of people they'll email you, but they don't really know what they're asking, and you can guide them
Yeah.
through like you did us.
Honestly, just give me your phone number and I'll call you. I just don't want to have
You
this
don't-
random thing out there. you
Right.
know.
Smart. So if you
Yeah,
guys email
I
him,
remember
then,
I'm risk averse. I'm old. I'm
Don't you have
risky.
a business that you do not work in an office?
Yeah, I do work in an
Yeah, I
office,
bet they
and
have a
that's
phone
the
number.
email for it. It's
there
awesome.
we go. We got the email for it, and they can leave their phone number, and you will call them and go over everything. And hey, it's been awesome
No,
having you
thank
on.
you for having me.
Thanks for
Thanks,
having
Bo.
This has
or
been
coming
fun.
out, because I hope that a lot of you guys that didn't know about this, you've learned something new that you can take away. At least go talk to your spouses about it and be like, "Hey, have you guys heard about this?" Or go talk to your friends.
Pay off your credit cards first.
Pay off your credit cards
and then
first, but
go to Bo's house. and
Literally,
knock
if
on
you
his door.
haven't talked to somebody that has money and see if they've heard about it, because it literally, I think I was shocked. I didn't believe it at first. I was like,
We'll
God.
talk to you in 7 years when we start pulling out money to see if it's true.
It's not gonna be 7. Oh yeah, it's 7 years. All right, guys, you've been awesome, and we will talk soon. Bye, everybody.